And the brief ceasefire in the Idlib Province of Syria is now up in the air as talks in Astana fail. The Syrian Army has resumed operations in the northwest against the last rebel-held area of the country in Khan Sheikhoun, as Russia's defense ministry says rebels shelled the outskirts of an airbase outside of Latakia. Joining us to discuss now, former Pentagon official Mike Maloof.
Greetings. Hi,
Mike. Okay, as always, appreciate you being with us.
Sure.
There's a lot going on in Syria right now. There are a lot of players, as we know. There's Turkey that's involved, a lot of rebel forces. So let's start with, I guess I want to say, the diplomacy, or the attempted diplomacy. Talk to us a bit about the talks in Astana, Kazakhstan. Who was there? What went down? How did it fall apart?
Well, there was a meeting in Astana. They covered a few areas, one of which was the area of Idlib, the other on the general peace plan for a constitutional committee in post-war Syria. The players were Iran, Turkey, Russia, and opposition members in the Syrian coalition. So they had an agreement in one sense on Idlib, but then once they left the meeting, it all fell apart. So that's where we are right now on the battlefield, and the Russians have resumed, and the Russians and the Syrians have resumed bombing in Idlib, and mindful, of course, of hitting civilians. I mean, this is a problem. Why are they doing that? The reason they resumed, according to reports I've seen, is that the rebels and the al-Nusra types, Al-Qaeda basically, started launching attacks on the Syrian troops, and as a consequence, there was a return fire. Also, they had refused to go into a demarcation area, which they had agreed to in Astana.
Okay.
And as a consequence, the hostilities began. Now, what does this mean for Turkey, which supports them?
Yeah.
Turkey supports them, and the reason why Turkey still maintains them there is to offset any potential for the Kurds from moving in there and posing a threat to Turkey in southern Turkey.
Hold that thought, and we definitely want to address Turkey's stake in all of this.
Yeah.
So seeing as this safe zone has potentially kind of collapsed, this newest round of action is at their doorstep of Turkey, obviously. Ankara is at odds with the U.S. when it comes to Syria, despite their relationship in NATO.
Yep.
So what happens now along Syria's northern border with regard to Turkey?
Another problem area. And again, this pits Turkey against the United States once again,
right.
and
they're mad about the Russian defense system already that was sold to the
I mean,
Turks.
the S-400s, and they've cut, and the United States has cut Turkey out of the F-35 program, just for openers, and also threatened to destroy the Turkish economy for good measure. You know.
So much for friends, right?
Yeah, so much for friends, and yet they're still NATO members. The problem here is that Turkey is once again threatening to go on into the northern part to attack the Kurds, and considering them to be PKK and all the rest.
Right.
The United States is backing the Kurds, and the United States needs the Kurds to fight ISIS and clean out ISIS. This is creating another crescendo for confrontation.
Let's get this straight. Turkey has their own kind of safe zone talks underway,
and those fell through.
That's falling through, but that's they want to put it over in the northeastern region of Syria. You mentioned
in addition to the Idlib area,
right?
The whole area,
the whole northern,
the whole northern part of Syria, which is the southern part of Turkey.
Right. Well, in their eyes, right?
Yeah.
So there's the YPG, the SDF. They're operating there.
Yeah.
The U.S. is backing them. It's obviously a bone of contention. The question here is, will the U.S. continue its role in Syria, in any way, especially with Turkey playing a role there going into 2020, seeing as Trump saying, hey, we're going to bring all the troops back from Afghanistan?
This is one of the central questions For now, we are supporting the Kurds. The question, and we have Defense Secretary Esper saying, "Look, we want to work things out with the Turks. They don't want to have hostilities, but if the Turks decide to go on in, that will pit the United States against Turkey's troops, and that's what Esper is trying to avoid right now." And
we can't kill Turkey's troops.
We're not supposed to, and they're not supposed to kill ours in a perfect world. However, the reality is that I think what the United States will attempt to do is get the Kurds to move back and reestablish a further demarcation to satisfy the Turks and basically get them to call off any imminent attacks for now. But that is one of the central questions. We're supporting the Kurds, but are we willing to fight for them? And nobody really knows until Turkey decides to act.
Yeah, and all the meanwhile, the Syrian people,
I tend to think we won't.
The Syrian people, Mike, are the ones suffering.
Oh yeah, they're in the crossfire. That's collateral damage, and it's a pathetic situation. It's not ending, and you had the opposition that Syrian opposition that is trying to get things going, and as well as the Syrian government and Russia on this constitutional committee.
Yeah.
And again, there's no end in sight on that as well. And so it's going to keep on going and going until there's what appears to be now absolute military defeat on the battlefield, so that people start suing for peace.
All right, we will see a lot of cooks in that kitchen.
Yep.
So we will see. Mike Maloof, as always, appreciate your expertise.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.